Okay, welcome back to another video. This time we are doing the 23 Pit of Saron. Quick talent check here. Make sure you have Spirit Walk, Decurse, and Jet Stream. Alright, those three, there are mechanics in this dungeon that are very annoying and very dangerous to deal with, and you need all three of those. This dungeon it is considered one of the easier ones of this season. But for us, it's a little bit difficult just because of the comp that we run. I think for meta comp, it's a quite easy dungeon. First pull, very straightforward. There's a lot of variations of this dungeon and the routing. So instead of going through our poll, I will just go through what the mobs do and which ones you should watch out for. So tormentors, okay? Each tormentor will occasionally put out a decurse, which is that. We have two in here, so make sure you are on top of the decurses. If they ever go out at once, so you have two go out at once, you need to heal the other person. You can kind of see when it goes out. So there you can see a purple thing comes out, and then once you see that, get your finger ready on the dispel. So right there, you see that? Boom, goes on a warrior, dispel. Okay, there is a lich. There you can see the one on me. The Lich has a ability that radiates damage when it reaches below 50%. That is typically when you want to use a cooldown for it, just because there's a lot of random damage going out from the soldiers and the tormentors. And if any kicks go through during the AoE, 50%, that player could die, whoever the ball goes on. There's other parts of the Lich too, but I'll get into it as we pull more of it throughout the key. This pull here, these gargoyles will occasionally pick up a party member. If it ever picks up you, the way you deal with it as a shaman is to use Spirit Walk. Ghost Wolf doesn't work, and Wind Rush Totem does not work either. Your main job here is to deal with the random damage that goes out from the soldiers that charge at players, and for the decurses that go out. First out of dungeon, pretty chill. Okay. This one, it is the same thing. Here, I believe we have one tormentor and one gargoyle. How much stagger do you have? Yep. So this is the second. This is the second lich of the dungeon. So aside from the ability we talked about earlier, which is the 50% radiating AoE damage, the lich will occasionally pick a player and cast Torrent of Misery. It's a channel ability, and it does more damage as the stat goes up. So the overlap in this pull here, it's going to be the lich tormenting somebody, and that person might get a decurse from the tormentor. It's very safe to defensive the lich. You typically want to save your spirit link for this one here, for the lich. Depending on your party member's damage, you could get an overlap where the lich is pulsating damage and he casts the Torrent of Misery on somebody. I actually end up committing my Healing Tide and my Link. Don't underestimate the lich, especially if there are other mobs alive during the 50%. Okay, this is the first Coal Wraith of the dungeon. This Coal Wraith will occasionally put out 2 Frost Chill debuffs on your party member. This debuff will slow them and it'll do a lot of damage. For you to deal with it as a shaman, you can Ghost Wolf it, you can Spirit Walk it, and you can use your Wind Rush Totem. So here you can see the first one that goes out. Also, by the way, there's also Tormentor in here too. I believe there's 2 or 1. There's a tormentor in here, so you want to be careful with their dispels. I typically dispel the decurse, and I use my Windrush totem for the Cold Wraith. So here it goes out on me and my warrior, and I use my Windrush, gets rid of it.
After this, oh, energy, man. But this game's retarded. I'm just saying.
Okay.
Mr. Bear.
This boss is pretty heal intensive, as in it's just one giant rot fight with a couple of instances of big damage coming out. The danger in this pull is definitely augmented by having this cadaver necrolite pull with it. You know, this is a very common pull. People tend to pull this one in for funnel onto the boss. But these soldiers here, they will occasionally charge at a random player, and it does a good amount of damage to them. Probably about, I would say, 30% of a player's HP. And because of that, there's definitely some overlaps that happen with the boss and these soldiers. Okay. So throughout the whole fight, there's raw damage going out. So your totems will have good value here. You want to keep totems on cooldown without overcapping on the 5 totems you can have at once. Making sure you keep your Riptides on cooldown too. And basically how it works is this. When the boss channels Glacial Overload, it does big tick damage to everyone, followed by a big stomp. This stomp will chunk everyone and put out 2 debuffs. The important thing to note is that while the boss is channeling, you need to make sure everyone is as full HP as possible, but you definitely need to make sure people are topped off when they do the stomp. That's when the most danger comes out. People get the stomp damage, they get the soldiers charging at them, and they get 2 debuffs after. So there's a couple of ways to play around it. Number 1, defensives. Number 2, your throughput. Number 3, you would CC the soldiers as you move here. This debuff that comes out, you can Windrush it, you can Spirit Walk, you can Ghost Wolf, and you can Decurse or Dispel. So you have 4 ways to deal with it. Yeah, I'm bringing out of stuff. You see here?
What's Innovate CD?
So remember, main thing, you know, going into these stomps, you want to make sure you have healing saved up. That can be in the form of Spirit Walker's Grace or Stormstream Totem or a cooldown. Keep everyone healthy going into the stomp and be ready to dispel after the stomp. Okay. Once again, this is the 3rd Lich of the dungeon. Instantly cast on me. Press the defensive. You can see there's a Cold Wraith in here. So this pull is actually very dangerous. I think this is one of the most difficult pulls or most dangerous pulls in the key. You have Dispel from Tormentor, you have Dispels from the Cold Wraith, you have Rot damage from the Lich, and you have a big beam from the Lich too. Instantly I put out my defensive because I'm getting channeled on, and I use my Windrush Totem to get rid of the debuffs. And now you're just prepping for the 50% AoE damage. You can typically tell if you're going to get a torrent during the 50%. If the Lich is, I would say if it has less than 10 seconds on the torrent and it goes 50%, you're probably going to get it. So here you can see my Spirit Link comes up just in time. And the Spirit Link is actually kind of insane value. It ends up getting the AoE, the suck from the Lich, and the Dispels. But once the Lich is done, this pull is very chill. This pull is pretty much the same thing. We will just skip ahead now to this fight. Okay, this fight here, it can be it can get out of hand if you're not on top of the curses here. So in each phase, the boss will put out an ability called Shapeshift, which will put a dot in everyone. You can just use a throughput to heal through it. It's really not that dangerous. The danger in this fight comes from the decurse that the Shades of Crick put out called Shadowbind. Okay? And the decurse in itself is not that dangerous, but it's when the players that's on have no way to get rid of the decurse or the snare, and the plague explosion goes out. So you can see here the plague explosion about to go out, and this drops puddle on everyone, and it does damage to the players. So the danger is when people have the curse on them, the snare, and the boss does the big stomp. A couple of ways to deal with it. With the Shade of Crick damage, you can decurse it, you can Ghost Wolf, Spirit Walk, and you can Windrush Totem. And Windrush Totem removes from the whole group, so it's very useful here. Okay, so once again, you can see intermission goes out.
That's all you.
Once again, we'll look at it. New intermission. Be using Healing Tide here. Yeah. I'm watching this.
Okay.
What can get next?
I got eaten. What? At 0.1 second.
There, our Spell Reflect got juked. It's unfortunate that we had these deaths here. I think what happened is that our druid. Where is our druid? It's over here. Okay, so our druid walks through the poop, and as they're walking through, the tank does the group damage, and it kind of just kills us. Yeah. This fight is a combination of controlling the room, so area denial, and making sure that the groups are coordinated on kicks. So we end up skipping this pull here, which is very common as well, especially in higher keys. The way we skip it with our comp is that our warrior gets bopped, and then he just goes in, and he will be leaping and melding. Okay. So this pull, we have the Lich, and we have a million of these little leaping dudes. These leaping guys does a lot of damage. Do not underestimate them, especially when there's other damage going out. They can also target the same player multiple times, so you can definitely get some really bad overlaps. You can see a pattern of playing this Lich. I always have Healing Tide, and I always have Spirit Link Totem for the Lich. So remember, I ended up using my Spirit Totem a little bit early. Thankfully, it went on me, and I just used Astral Shift to deal with the overlap. But you definitely want to communicate to your group to use a lot of cooldowns when fighting the Lich. Yep. This is the mini boss here, and the mini boss has two mechanics. Number one is the one you just saw. Basically, everyone drops poop on them on the circles, and it does a good amount of damage, and then everyone got to move. That mechanic by itself is not that dangerous. Okay, it's when you have other damage going out, such as these leaping guys here. You can have an overlap where they leap just as the boss drops the shards of ice on you, those one-shotting you, So you can outplay that by CCing the leaping guys or using the defensive when you drop the ice. When the mini boss does focus guard, it does AoE damage to everyone. The damage it does is not that much, so I find that you can heal through it with regular throughput. Your regular rotation is fine. Okay, last boss right away on Ancient Intermission. It gets this. What is this called? It does an ability where it puts a dot on everyone, similar to the second boss. You can use the cooldown for it, end up using Spirit Link for it. And then it will pick 2 players. This dot does a good amount of damage, so you want to make sure you focus on healing them. What I do is I switch my Earth Shield around. So you can see the first one, it went on the Paladin and it went on the Warrior. That means the next set will go on me and the Druid. And so what I'll do is I'll move my Earth Shield off my Paladin and I'll move it onto my Druid. Because remember, whoever has your Earth Shield receives 20% more healing from you. In terms of healing this, you really don't need much. You don't need to use a cooldown for it. Just your Unleash Life and Healing Wave will usually deal with it. Intermission is when all the ads come out. If you're playing with a Fizz comp, you want to make sure you get the kick, the Plague Spreader, marked early, because there will come a time where your party members cannot kick it, and it is up to you to kick the Plague Spreader.
I go next.
In terms of healing this fight, or healing this intermission here, I find having some Stormstream Totems and Spirit Walker's Grace is more than enough to get through the heal check. Because remember, this is immediately followed by the Bone Infusion. I kind of misplayed here. I misaligned my cooldown. I ended up using my Healing Tide for the intermission, but I just used my trinket on one player and focus on healing the other 3. Once again, you notice it went on my Paladin and my Warrior. This fight is really not that difficult. Very straightforward fight. The only thing that can kill you here is the intermission. So the only thing that you can mess up as a healer is this right here. Okay. Say the ad lasts a little bit longer than normal. Everyone's low. This Bone Infusion comes out. You don't have that much to heal. Plus this comes out. This is the only part that you can wipe out. This situation here, exactly. Whoever these 2 go on are in the biggest danger. So you want to communicate to your team like, hey guys, if you are the ones that get picked for this mechanic after the intermission, you should definitely press defensive there. The other 2 people are much safer because there's not a damage going out. Yeah, this is definitely an easier dungeon, the easier one of the season. Heal wise, not that difficult. It's just all about managing your cooldowns. And that's it. Alright, thanks for watching.